What do you intend to do to provide affordable housing for the young and single households? Frome needs more housing for the low paid.
So Mark, you're going.
It's extraordinary how everything comes back to the ideological needs of the Conservative Party, because yet again housing is all about profit for developers rather than the housing needs of the people who need it. And you know, did you know that in Frome, when a housing project gets launched, that actually the developer requires a 20% profit margin in order to do that, and they can only do that with more expensive and the luxury ends and the top end of housing. So clearly it's a disincentive for developers to build cheaper housing. And we have to question what the whole idea of affordable housing is. What is genuinely affordable? What can somebody coming out of college or just starting a family, what can they afford? They can't afford that any sort of house in Frome on those sorts of figures. So you know, we have to can that. You know, no serious business expects a guaranteed 20% profit. Tesco's run on tiny margins. Most small businesses run on tiny margins. You know, am I making enough to take home and live on? To give someone that guaranteed 20% margin is immoral when people are going homeless. So cut the margins, force people, have social investment, have put infrastructure spending into properly affordable, genuinely affordable and social housing, and let people who live in Frome have houses in Frome so they can work in Frome, so they don't have to go to Bath or Bristol or Yeovil. And let's start regenerating our own economy by investing in our own housing and our own infrastructure. Thank you.
Hello. Yes, I just wanted to say that this will actually be the last question. So just so that all of you know that. I'm sorry, Mark, I didn't say that beforehand, but this is the last question. You'll have to leave it after this.
Okay, just like to make 2 points. We do have a finite constraint with regards to the housing bank. It's very easy for politicians to say we're going to build 100,000 new homes, 1 million new homes, all the rest of it. Great numbers, eye-catching, all the rest. We need to accept the problem. What can we actually do? We can have a structural development policy in this country that actually directs the demand for population and housing to where there is capacity for it. There are streets in the north of England that you can buy for, houses you can buy for less than £1,000.
Nobody wants to live there.
Exactly, and that's what I'm saying. So we need to actually create jobs up there. That's my point. Rather than just having a free-for-all capitalist economy, government actually needs to start taking control. We need to have a far greater hand on the tiller than the free market economy we've got to date. Capitalism is amazingly powerful, but it needs to be steered, okay? Not just jobs just turn up wherever they are. Government needs to be a lot more powerful. So that's how we can actually direct housing where there is capacity. Secondly, we have got a limited amount, but we need to make that housing high quality. I believe that we need to set caps on the amount of buy-to-let housing in the UK. This is pushing up the price of housing enormously. It's very attractive for investors. It means there's more demand for housing, which makes the price higher, which means that youngsters cannot get on the housing ladder until their late 30s. This is crazy and ridiculous. It's not fair on them. It's also damaging for communities. We need rental accommodation, but we need to focus more on actually providing owner occupation. And the amount of people with portfolios of multiple housing lets that they've got is really, really not helping that. We need to encourage communities. People who actually live and own their own property are going to invest in their local area. People who stay there for 10 years and not 6 months are going to do a lot better for the local community. So we need to work the best with the housing stock we've got, and we need to redirect it where there's capacity.
Right, so housing. I'm afraid it doesn't come from within communities. We're a long way behind what we need. I think the number of council houses built last year by the Conservative Party was the grand total nationally of 4,000. This requires a big fix for the reasons that have been outlined by Richard and both Mark. Young people can't get on the housing ladder. Too many properties are being taken up by people as an investment source. They're buying second, third, fourth little apartments. They're doing it because they can't get returns anywhere else. We need a fix. And firstly, we need a lot more houses. The way to do it is borrow money nationally and spend that on building houses nationally. We've set a target of 100,000 council houses a year, plus another 100,000 by forcing developers to use land that they're currently sitting on. To alleviate the problem with the rental sector, we're going to start new rental contracts that are much more in favour of the rentee. So the default contract will now be a 3-year contract. People can't just kick you out because suddenly the price of the rent has gone up and they can charge a little bit more and there's only 3 months left on your contract. The default rental contract will be 3 years. Secondly, we'll have inspections. There's an enormous number of below livable standard rental property in the world. I don't know if that's true here. It's massively true in London. And that will now become a local authority responsibility to inspect and look at that. If you want housing, you vote Labour. That's what you do. If you want housing, you vote Labour. Thank you very much. Sorry, sir?
You had 13 years of power when you didn't build enough houses. The housing stock is being sorely neglected.
Sir, you highlight a point I failed to...
Labour is just as capable as Tories.
Okay, but that was...
Not enough houses are being built.
So let me finish. That was a Labour that was under a very different Prime Minister than Jeremy Corbyn. Jeremy Corbyn is a man you can trust to build houses. If Jeremy Corbyn says he's going to build houses, he will. Believe me. Vote Labour.
I remember at the last election, there was a big... Yes, thanks, David. I remember at the last election there was a sort of rising arms race of who's going to build the most council houses or the most affordable houses. 100,000, and Labour said 201,000, and then the Lib Dems said 202,000 or something. But in actual fact, what we just heard is absolutely right. Your figure of 4,000 council houses, you said this actually you said 5,000 last time at the last Hustings, and I looked it up, and it's complete nonsense, I'm afraid. So Help to Buy, I'll give you some actual figures. Help to Buy under this government have allowed people to buy 362. I'm going to tell you that. 362,000 homes, 313,000 affordable homes have been built since 2010, and council houses have 3 times as many council houses have been built under this government than under 13 years of Labour government. That's a fact. Now we're promising £1.4 billion extra, which is now going to go in to build a new generation of council houses on brownfield sites, which will be which will be purchased compulsorily, which is hard to say. So for example, over at Saxonvale, I think it's a prime opportunity. There we are. What's about that? So and those houses will be built. Those will be council houses that will be sold on will be given on fixed social rents. So that's £1.4 billion extra that's going to go in right now, which I'm delighted about, because we do need homes, and we do need them very much in the southwest. Although particularly in towns like this, there are also other towns, of course, which are struggling from massive overdevelopment. Not very far away, villages like North St Philip, Castle Carey is threatened with 80% extra development. So it is a balancing act in a rural area. But we do need affordable homes in order to bring people in, and this is what we're going to have.
I can
can tell you that this is an issue in every settlement in this constituency at the moment, in Castle Carey, in Somerton, in Queen Camel. It's the same issue everywhere, and that is that young people can't afford a place. And they talk about affordable homes as 80% of the market value. Most people can't even think about that if they're on a low income or they're just starting out. But I don't really get this thing about we've got to get people on the property ladder. I don't really buy into that. I was brought up in a council house in Road. I was very happy there, my parents were very happy there. It was only because of work we had to move. Then we became homeless, actually, in Yeovil. But the point being, council housing was fine. There's nothing wrong with social housing. Social housing means that you've got that guaranteed home, and young people really need social housing. That should be provided. I don't have a problem with it. What the Tories did was, by selling off council stock, and now they're proposing to sell off social housing as well, that is a proposal, what they actually did was turn everyone into a mini capitalist competing with each other, and now we've got these ridiculous spiralling prices. We're all part of it, it's not anyone's fault. That's the situation we're in. So, in Frome, I know there's a survey underway. This community has plans. This community is trying to solve the problem. In Stroud, they borrowed money and they're building council houses regardless because they got green councillors, they're getting on with it. But this is hard, and I know they're trying in Frome. I know they've purchased land and they're looking at how to create those homes, affordable and social. But the problem is, as you saw at the police station development, the problem is you can get a petition, you can get the town council, the district council, all behind it and say this does not fit our plans, this is not what we need, this is the development we need, and then one developer who can afford lawyers can take the planning laws which were brought in by your government on your watch, can take those laws and then say, do you know what, actually he's appealed and you all lose out because he can't get his rate of profit and he's going to build what he needs to build. It is usually a he. And this is a microcosm of what is happening to our country and to our planet. It is an exact microcosm supported by the government David has been a member of, which is that a small minority of people whose commercial interests are enshrined in an unfair legal system can override the democratic wishes and the actual needs that we know we need are not being met because of that. And that's why young people in this election really need to get engaged, decide to vote for a party that's going to build social housing, and I'd say in this constituency, make sure you vote Green so you have a voice for reversing that and ending that unfair system.